Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry about that. Hello, peoples. It's time. This is Tempest Tenebrum, home of all things World of Darkness. We're here every other Tuesday, sitting around and just, in general, having a good time talking about our favorite shit. I am your host, Peter, and as always, I'd like to introduce Brother Eric, my co-host, who is apparently putting his daughter to bed. So we're going to move on. We're going to just move on. Joining us tonight as our guests, one newbie, one most recent acquiree, and a fellow who was on our very first show. So I'm going to start with Matt. So Matt, say hi.
Hello, people. How are you doing?
And I'm not even going to bother trying to pronounce Nisagaru because you always say I don't do it right. So fine, be that way. And our returning guest, who's been on, the last 3 shows? I think. So that puts you in second place, or however you want to take it. Brother Ian, say hi.
Hi, how you doing? I'm Ian. I'm the admin at Storytellers Only, World of Darkness Storytellers Only on Facebook.
Awesome. You'll get a plug shot in here, so will you, Matt, as you well know. So, and our newest member of our guest crew, did I actually put your name down yet? I have a list of everybody who's ever been on the show. And no, apparently I forgot to put it on there. Rachel, say hi.
Hello, my name is Rachel. I'm currently an editor for By Night Studios, who are publishing the LARP rules for World of Darkness. And I'm a contributor to the Storytellers Vault.
Awesome. I guess you're going to need a plug too, aren't you? So, yep. Okay. Tonight we are discussing, as per Ian's request, the cosmology of the World of Darkness. Now, I want to say just off top, it's going to be weird tonight, folks. So just batten down the hatches and let's just do this, okay?
Vocabulary.
Eric, are you back yet? Eric, you're killing me, man.
You're killing me, Smalls.
You're killing me, man.
Crap, I forgot to turn my mic back on.
Oh, fine. Thank you.
I unmuted it. I feel like an ass.
So,
I'm an asshole.
Please, your first question, and brother, this is my brother Eric, my co-host. I've already introduced you. Now that you're back, I'm reintroducing you. So,
awesome.
So, do what you do.
All right, man. So, guys, I want you guys to kind of take turns explaining to me what the cosmology of a world is that was a few books that were never ever meant to be crossed over and played together. They just kind of like mushed all that stuff like a big peanut butter and jelly sandwich and just, here you go. But go ahead.
All right, I'm gonna jump on this one because I pitched it and I'm super greedy. So I think that, and also I probably have the worst vocabulary of anyone on here. Everyone else on here probably knows more about this topic than I do, so I might as well fuck it up and then you guys can smooth it out, right? So,
I'll point it out.
Oh, yeah,
and if I do that, you can always do the same to me.
Oh, of course. Yeah, it's a two-way street. But I feel like this is one of the most complex issues in World of Darkness. It's never really been described how the different game lines interact cosmologically. There's plenty of instances of crossovers. We even have like a multi-crossover with the circus thing, Circus of Darkness or whatever. But as far as I can tell, you basically have to look at it as Umbra, right? So the penumbra is the first thing that you get to when you cross over into the other realm, right? As we all know, there's this material realm that we all live in that's normal, has the physics that we're used to. It's where the normal history, where World War II happened and the Bronze Age collapse happened and such and such. And then you can sidestep, as werewolves say, into this really near realm that's similar to the realm that we live in today, but it's very different. It's kind of like, do you remember that Robin Williams movie, What Dreams May Come?
Oh God,
Yes, that's
the worst
amazing and
movie.
incredibly sad at the
Right,
same
and-
time.
Right, yeah, just one of my favorite films. But I feel like that's a really good example of what, like, okay, maybe the Dark Umbra, but the going in is like it's sort of like there's pockets of similar things, like maybe the Empire State Building is there, but maybe
That's
it's.
kind of the reflection of the Shadowlands.
I was just going to get to that. So
Yeah.
I feel like the Shadowlands, and appreciate you taking me there because I meander. So the Penumbra, it's like similar to the world that we live in, but it's a little different. And the Dark Umbra is like the evilness of the world, right? And so the Dark Penumbra is the Shadowlands. And I can go on, but I figure
I'm gonna hand this one off to Matt. How you feeling about that description, specifically where it pertains to werewolf?
When it comes to werewolf, I guess that's important to remember a few things about the werewolf cosmology, in which the world was created, and then we have the Triad and everything, something that we have already mentioned in previous shows. But then there was a moment in which flesh and spirit was all the same in the world, and then there is the creation of the gauntlet, which would separate flesh and spirit, and then we have the creation of Umbra. That's how werewolves understand it. And the first step would be the Penumbra, as already mentioned, which is the reflection of the world we have here, but only with the things that really matter spiritually. So exactly as pointed, there are a couple of constructions or things like this that they will, let's say, their spiritual, let's say, maybe importance or something like this would leak. Yeah, kind of exactly. Kind of this spiritual aura and a resonance would leak to the spirit world, and there you would have the constructions we have nowadays. So in this kind of reflection, but not everything, only the important things, or only those things that would matter spiritually, and then in a way, like, I'm sorry,
like the Carns.
Yeah, the cards are a bit different because the heart of the Karn, for example, it's a place in the world where spirit and flesh is the same. So you've got no gauntlet there at the heart of the Karn, okay? So you are at the spiritual world and at the material world at the same time, so to speak. And then these buildings or landmarks or anything like this that would have this relevance, they would appear in the spiritual world. And if something dies here in the material world or is destroyed, it takes some time for the spiritual side to be, vanished, let's say. And then that's why, for example, in the example given, we would have the World Trade Center, for example, still today, because it matters somehow for a lot of people and have an importance. It was a very popular landmark in New York or something like this. And then you would have different places as well. We can say churches, but it's not only because you have this spiritual side that you have to have a spirituality connect to this place or something like this, right?
Okay. We have our first question already. Wow. Damn, Storm, you are on the ball. What's going on? Jeez, I hope this didn't just fucking...
Are we having this argument again?
Yeah, I hate to interrupt, but maybe we could give Rachel a chance to...
Oh, I'm sorry. I completely...
No worries. It's a big group.
Good job.
Rachel, can you give us a basic understanding how the dreaming and the deep dreaming interact with both the Umbra and the Shadowlands?
Yeah. I mean, the only objection I would have to what is stated so far is that I don't think that the Dark Umbra is necessarily evil. I think it's simply the absence of light. And it is still a necessary part of the world, and I feel like describing a moral judgment on it is not necessarily appropriate.
Meaning, it doesn't have the same an attributed morality to a place that has no morality is
Right, it just is. It's not choosing anything, so therefore it is neither evil nor good. It's just this thing that exists within the world.
Gotcha. All right. So, but how you feel the dreaming, both versions of it that I know about.
Yeah. So even though Changeling was the first World of Darkness game I played back in high school, I did not really understand what the dreaming was until I started LARPing.
Yes.
Because you're playing Changeling and it's like, oh, I have this stick, but this stick is actually a sword, but it can only hurt people as a sword if this other person is buying into this shared reality. And playing the tabletop game, I'm like, I don't get it. The stick is a sword, but not a sword. What? And then I start LARPing, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, he's got the foam stick, which, if I get hit with it, is not actually going to hurt me, but it will hurt my alter ego. Okay, I get it. And so I feel like that's sort of what the dreaming is that it's not necessarily a separate realm, but it's our ideas that we are putting out there into the universe of possibility of what could this be. Well, this stick could actually be a sword, and so if you have this special insight, and if you're clued in, you're able to interact with the world as other people imagine it to be, and as you imagine it to be.
Okay.
So I don't understand Changeling that well, but my understanding is, riffing off of what Rachel was just saying, that like if somebody really believed that their stick was a sword because maybe they're a small child, or maybe they're tuned into the dreaming, or maybe they're a changeling, that stick actually exists in the dreaming, in the near dreaming, which is the near dreaming is like the changeling equivalent of the penumbra, as a sword, right? So if you sidestep, you'll actually find that, broadsword or whatever sitting there that's not like a twig from an oak tree. So in that way, the dreaming are echoes of belief, right? If you strongly believe something, it'll exist in the dreaming. Whereas the Shadowlands, which I claim is part of the near Umbra, or the dark near Umbra.
Yes, it is.
Right. I mean, that's
it's also got a connection to the underworld as well. So
for sure. Well, talking about that in a minute, but I feel like you get different echoes, right? So the dreaming echoes beliefs, and the Shadowlands echoes angst after death, right?
Yeah.
And then the Umbra is sort of an umbrella of all of these things. That the near Umbra, the penumbra, is sort of a mystical place where you go when you have psychedelic experiences and when you have vision quests, and so it's almost like that place, it exists whether you believe in it or not, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like the Umbra, like the homie from Italy, I think, was saying, where are you from, my friend? Nacio? No?
Huh?
Okay. Nacio? Portugal? Maybe?
Nisao, and it's Matt.
Okay.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, where are you from, my friend?
I'm from Brazil.
Brazil, awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, we're all.
Did I not get everybody?
Oh, you guys just had a World of Darkness day, didn't you?
Yeah.
That's not
Yeah,
How'd
we
that
had it
go?
on Friday. Oh, it was awesome. It was all over the country, many different places, lots of people. It was really, really interesting.
That sounds awesome.
That sounds fun.
Hey, can I answer the
Neat,
question?
I'm so jealous.
Yeah. On your right, go ahead. Matt, Eric, I'm sorry.
I have to explain why I say that they were never meant to be played together.
Again.
So, yeah. So if you look at each book, each one is its own self-contained thing. As far as that, also, even the character sheets are different for a purpose. Does that make any sense? Like there are different skills that you have, and the different powers were not meant to work together. Basically, then somebody started getting these ideas. When they tried it, it was messed up. Yeah, but it looks like they fixed a lot of that with this new edition too. But basically, yeah. And then I actually kind of liked that because at the beginning it was only thought to be like vampire and werewolf, whereas like the werewolf with the Umbra was the like light side, and the Kindred and the Shadowlands was like the dark yin and yang sort of thing. And then they just started squeezing other stuff in. So.
Well, I don't agree with that personally. I think that they had that idea the whole time that they were going to cross
Thank
over,
you.
which is why Samuel hated this so early in
Thank
the canon.
you. I've been saying this shit for years. He just doesn't get it.
But before we go there, I think Eric has an excellent point, and I think the point is that the early writing didn't really lend itself to a crossover. So the crossovers, in my opinion, all fucking suck. I can't think of
You're an extreme headache.
There you
And
go.
I'm a huge headache.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that they didn't intend them to cross over. I think they did. I just think they'd have never really pulled it off that well.
So
Well, they
I
didn't know they were
have
gonna make
a
money.
couple thoughts on that.
Go ahead.
So I don't think that the games were necessarily designed to facilitate a lot of crossover beyond, oh no, you're a vampire who you're traveling from city to city and the werewolves get you and now you're dead.
Yeah, pretty much.
Or the Giovanni who interact with wraiths, but only on this very superficial level. But that being said, these are all supposed to exist within the same world. And I think that the common thread between all of them is their power resource. And so the mages are going to call it quintessence, or the werewolves are going to call it gnosis, or the changelings are going to call it glamour, and vampires can access a very rudimentary, crude form of this power in the form of blood, because the blood is the life after all. And so you have this, almost like the whole world is infused with this raw magical power, and if you are sort of jumped into one of the secret societies, based on what you are, you have a specific way that you can access and interact with this raw power. And I really think that it's like that old metaphor. It's six blind men, and they're all feeling an elephant. And so one feels its tail, and one feels its tusks, and one feels its skin. And they only get a little tiny piece of the whole reality of it's an elephant. And I think a really good crossover game would have to understand this commonality of power, that the power is coming from some untyped, unnamed raw source, and that is what unites all these supernatural creatures who are sort of able to, rise above the petty conflicts of clan or kith and court or tribe and be like, oh no, I'm not just a Silverfang, I'm actually Geru, and yet I'm also operating on this other level. And I think a game built around that would be really, really cool.
That's why the Kiasid are the best bloodline ever.
Yeah.
Except for, when they get mouthy, you just fleshcraft their mouth shut.
Right.
Anyway.
I totally agree with what has just said. The way I see... Are you listening to me?
Oh, yeah.
Yep. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. The way I see the spiritual world, or Umbra, as the werewolves call it, it's the it's the linking point between the games, because although Vampire doesn't have a spiritual world, which that's one of the reasons I do not like Vampire the Masquerade that much. I understand that Werewolf has set this stone and say, okay, so we can build something from here, and then they start connecting all the other games one to each other through the spiritual side. So in a way, the Dreaming or the Shadowlands or all the other things, they are the Umbra itself, but the different parts of it, as she pointed out, as different parts of this elephant, as they try to understand, and then they create some metaphors that they sometimes, most of them at least, they match to each other. And while you are reading Changeling and they are talking about the Dreaming, you can say, oh, so that's Umbra, and then they are talking about Glamour and they say, oh, that's Gnosis. And the same thing for Mage. I don't know that much about Wraith though. But the way I see it, it's the real thing that allows you to play a game, a crossover game. Of course, that you do not need to go to the spiritual world to have this crossover, but the basis, the foundations of the worlds of these different scenarios and different games, they are there in the spiritual world, and they will connect, they will intertwine somehow.
By the way, Rachel, you've given me hope again. No, truly, you have. No, because you said I've been trying to run an End of the World Chronicle where you've got one of each, and the only way to stop the end of the world is to stop everybody's.
Yeah, and what is the source of this power that manifests differently but is kind of the same thing? Like, is it God? Is it the Triad?
Triad.
What is it? And I feel like that would be a really fun, high-level campaign.
Yeah, I think that it's definitely Gaia. I think that when you really trace it all back, I mean, there's the Gaia, Luna, Helios trinity, and then there's the Triad, the Wyrm, the Weaver, and the Wild. But it all takes place on the stage that is, our solar system. And
I have a really heretical belief about Gaia.
Oh, please. I'll go on and on, blah, blah, blah. Please, go ahead. Rach, take it away.
I think Anoia diablerized her.
What?
Really?
Or, yeah. In one of the Gehenna books, it's described that Anoia, the gangrel antediluvian, just uses Protean 10 and just merges with the Earth and becomes the Earth. So either she diablerized Gaia or came to some strange union with Gaia, which I think there's a really interesting story there.
Yeah.
Because vampires are half Weaver because they are stable and unchanging, and they're half Wyrm because they're death. And then you have Gaia, who is almost pure wild, and so now you have this entity that's like this little tiny unbroken triad, and what can you do with that?
I just feel like a Celestite or a Celestial or whatever she is, like her avatar would like wash an antediluvian like nothing. I don't find that convincing, but I hear you. Like that is a fantastic.
What kind of show is this, anyway?
What kind of show is this, anyway? I don't get my show back.
What's going on, God damn it? The hell's wrong with you kids? Get the fuck off my lawn!
Get the fuck off my lawn! Right.
So do we have a question? I'm sorry, we went off and I think we've all.
No, you tangented it. I was just trying to break up the roll a little so we could kind of steer it back to where we were. So. I
wanted to talk about how the new stuff is and how it looks like it's all fitting together.
Yeah, well, that's a good
really
option.
Freaking cool.
I mean, you might actually come to the you might drink the Kool-Aid one day and believe us that this actually you might actually be able to do crossovers without it being a complete fucking nightmare.
With the 5th edition stuff, it would be very easy. I mean, it just seems really good. But the cool thing is that the Gehenna is happening, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, the antediluvians are awake.
But it doesn't mean they have to win.
Well, that, and it takes, we're talking about hundreds of years here, you know? So Gehenna's playing itself out really slowly, but all that stuff that happened with, in the Gehenna book with the rise of each antediluvian happens in the game.
Okay, Matt, we've got a question for you.
All right.
Storm wants to know what she's from. She wants she got a basic idea of Gaia, and but she's not sure about the Wyrm, the Wild, and the Weaver. That you would be better qualified to answer her question than I am.
All right. Gaia, it's not the planet itself. It's like the werewolves would understand Gaia as the whole thing, as probably the universe itself. But as they understand the universe, is in a way it's like only compromised by only composed by Earth, because the werewolves don't go anywhere. Just here, but so you have the other Celestines and everything like this, but you've got Gaia, which is the whole creation, let's say, especially because when you try to understand Gaia as only the Earth, we have the avatar of it, which the Celestine of Earth, which is Ishtaha, if I'm not wrong, that's its name. And so it wouldn't be Gaia. Some werewolves make this mistake, but it's not. Gaia is the entire creation. Like the
Tellurian, you mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then we have the Triad, which is the three forces, the Wyrm, the Weaver, and the Wild, which created the world. So we have the Wild, which is always changing. It is changing itself in creation, like uncontrolled creation. And then we had Weaver, which they gave the idea that Weaver likes to put everything in a pattern, likes to name things. So Weaver would pick up this raw power of creation of Wild and give it shape and form and concept and propose. And then the Wyrm would eat, in a way, would kill the excess of pattern made by the Weaver and the excess of creation made by Wild. And then at some moment we had a corruption, so Weaver wants more control on her creations, so she traps the Wyrm in its web. The Wyrm tries to get out of that, she gets crazy, and then the Wyrm now it's corruption. So she's divided in three. So we have the three heads of the Wyrm, the Devourer of Souls. Shit, I'm trying to remember. The Eater of Souls. I'm sorry. The Defiler and the Beast of War. So that's the metaphysical enemy of the werewolves. So the Triad, they are below Gaia, but they are who make Gaia possible, because they give sense to all creation.
Right,
Something
those are the
like this.
The incarna, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So there's like a hierarchy. What you're getting at, and I totally agree. I'm trying to sort this out for maybe people who didn't follow that. There's a hierarchy of power, and the Celestines, which are the three big ones, are at the very top. That's Gaia, Earth, basically Mother Earth, and who I agree with Matt, may be more like thought of the entire universe, but beyond that, which we normally refer to as the Tellurian, a lot of vocabulary. And then there's Helios, the sun, and Luna, the moon, but each one of those has a realm in the deep Umbra that you can go to and visit, and there's like a realm there, like Helios's realm is just like orange light and heat and everything, but there's an avatar, there's like a bipedal creature or whatever that speaks for basically the Celestine. Yep. and you can, you know, try and fight them if you want, but they're like fantastically powerful, and they have like a bunch of these avatars, and they're like an Incarna level power, but those are Celestines. And then so the Incarna is the rung below the Celestines, and that's the Triad, right? The Wyrm, the Weaver, and the Wild. And they're so fantastically powerful that even all of the werewolves in the world can't defeat even one of them, right? So they're really, really powerful.
Exactly, and not only they are not able to defeat, but they are not even able to understand them. Because
right, there you go.
These entities, they are so cosmological, something so big that their simple concept would be something completely alien to anybody to understand, not only werewolves, but even, I don't know, mages or anything like this. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I feel like the Weaver is one of the more interesting ones there because it's got like this kind of primitive cyberpunk thing baked into it where you can go to these, you know, glasswalkers go to these realms, so there's like, you know, spiders and webs of information. It's kind of like hokey until you get this. Well, I don't remember where exactly I read this. I'm pretty sure it was in the Weaver, the Book of Weaver. But they were saying that all ideas of mankind came from the Weaver, and that's like where creation the thoughts of making new technology come from. So all of the futuristic technology that mankind will think of is somewhere in some pocket realm in the Weaver realms. And so you can sort of go to those futuristic cyberpunk worlds for that reason, because the technologies that we will invent in the near future are already there.
Yeah.
Is that how you guys feel about that realm, or how do you interact with it?
Wait a minute. I missed something. What?
No, so I'm talking about the Weaver realm, right?
Oh,
and
mind.
what it's like when you
go
go there.
The Wyrm?
Oh, yeah.
Can I talk about the Wyrm?
But only something before.
Wyrm is
May I just something?
Go ahead.
Before,
go ahead, man. We can talk about this because I love the Wyrm.
about all the ideas of humanity and etc. Which would come from the Weaver. Weaver has 3 seeds. This is according to the Book of Weaver. It has 3 seeds that it has given to humanity, right? In order to develop the breed of humans. And these 3 seeds, they are dogma, science, and technology. So exactly as pointed. So Weaver would shape the mind of humans, and the humans would be able to develop to who we are now, and even primitive technology we are talking about. So we have these ideas and everything. So with the idea of making a pattern of pretty much everything, so in the world would reach a stable and unchanging form and shape, something like that. So that's true. Every simple idea that we have, it was given to us by the Weaver. Although this the changing process we have, like being a child and then growing up, getting old and then dying, not dying, I'm sorry, but just the changings we have, that would be a moment of wild in our beings, and then death would be the consummation of the Wyrm. So we have the Triad representing our bodies as pretty much everything. So in a way they found a deal, like, okay, let's create the world, and nobody was actually satisfied with the creation, and they said, okay, let's put a little bit of everything, of each one of us in everything in the world, and that's it.
I never heard that. I like that.
Yeah,
mix that into like some sort of cult. I'm gonna.
Yeah, it's pretty. I guess that's the Ananasi book. They say something about it, like.
They're cool.
Of course they would.
Yeah.
That's like duh.
Yeah, and I think the reason why you're saying duh is because the Anasazi hold reverence for all 3 of the Triad, unlike the werewolves, which basically worship the wild.
Well, yeah, just the one. The other 2 can just go fuck off.
Yeah,
okay.
but it's important to understand that the wild is not an ally. The wild, it's uncontrolled. It's the force of mutation and changing and
it's like
creation
Jumanji
and everything. Yeah,
right? Like you don't
Yes,
negotiate with Jumanji. It takes over.
Rachel, now Changeling being, I don't even want to say arguably because everybody in this channel knows it's true. Changeling being the darkest of the world of darkness. How is it that there aren't?
All right. Sorry.
Yeah.
No,
I
got
agree.
news.
I'm trying to grumble a little
It's
louder.
No,
here.
I got news,
Okay.
dude. It is the most depressing
It is
shit.
the angst that is less filling but tastes great.
Dude, Wraith, are you kidding me?
What's an angst?
Anyway,
It's a little cross
Great
with a loop
is
on
super
top.
angst.
I agree on Changeling, but this is not, I guess, the episode for that. But if you want to have me back on for a Changeling episode, I would be glad to argue my point.
Okay. Anywho, but being okay, let's just take it as read that yes, it is the most depressing bullshit ever. But I love it, and just because it is that nasty. But how is it that there's so many? I mean, there seem to be a number of different roads from here to there, basically. Using the dreaming, the Umbra, your ability to translate through the
Black
labyrinth.
Path of Valor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How come I'm not? The dreaming sounds so nice, but I know better. Why? Why is it? Other than the Fae, not all the Fae anyway, were horrible, nasty critters.
So why is the dreaming?
Why is the dreaming seem to be a little more
Cute.
tame than the Tempest? Or
No, it's actually not. It's all it's all the same. I guess
Right. The
like
dreaming
triad
has.
things. You have banality, you have the dreaming, and then the thing in between. Which is reality. Sorry. At least that's always how I always saw it. So I mean, like you can have like a full-on like crazy D&D adventure in the dreaming, and then in reality you're just running around a park, with a bowl on your head.
that's LARPing.
Yes.
That's the way I've always seen Changeling act.
That's LARPing.
Yeah, and that's how I understand Changeling too. It's basically LARP the LARPing.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
But
Whoa, that was
That was meta
I
as
like
hell,
feel
wasn't
like
it?
I had a psychedelic experience. You gotta LARP the LARP, man.
No, actually,
yeah, pretty much.
This is some good LARP, man.
I have a secret like for Changeling, right? But it's one of those things like like when running D&D, I don't like high fantasy stuff, but I'll run a bunch of Ravenloft.
Yeah.
That's it's like I like playing that kind of D&D, but that's kind of always how I felt about Changeling. I think a lot of that had to do with the people I was playing with that were just annoying. But after I went over it and read a lot more, I could see exactly how I could make some pretty interesting and still dark stories out of it.
Because it's
Yeah.
the most
And
depressing.
so, I think the interesting thing about the dreaming, at least as much as we consider like the near dreaming, you have all these other realms that you have to like cross a boundary to get into. So you need to cross the gauntlet, or you need to step sideways. And I
Here's the
think
veil.
to get to the near, right? And I think to get to the near dreaming, you just have to open your eyes. Because the near dreaming is here, and there's no real boundary except our own disbelief. And I feel that sort of state of being is what sort of separates the dreaming from this whole Weaver Wild Wyrm conflict. Because sure, the Weaver, the Wild, and the Wyrm, they all exist in the dreaming, but so do all these other things, because someone, once upon a time, thought them up and told someone else about it.
Okay, so it's the place
It's
where
the most-
legends live.
Yeah, it's like the storytelling game.
Yeah,
Oh, Shara wanted. She wants to know which one of the changelings. Or that's Storm.
Changing
Sorry.
the dreaming, not changing the lost. That's the question.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I got to rip on what Rach was just saying real quick. Can I call you Rach? I just did that. I'm doing that. That's how it happened. So, I think that the Dark Ages Fae introduced a really interesting idea of the Firstborn who emerged from the mist, and we don't really know much more about the mist as far as I understand, other than it's this primordial essence thing that things come out of. And I always kind of, when I talk about DAF with people, they're like, most changeling people don't like it. I'm not a huge changeling guy, so when I read Dark Ages Fae, I fucking loved it. I was like, this is the coolest shit ever! And then I shared my beliefs, Vic and everyone, and they're just like, no, everyone hates this. And I really feel like it's because it disturbs the mythology, but of changeling. But what it adds, I think, is almost the origin story of Gaia. Gaia emerged from the mist. And in that way, it's like, is the Umbra or the dreaming first? I think it gets murky at that point. But we're talking about like the hierarchy of all the creatures or whatever with the Celestians at the top. I think in theory the mist is actually at the top. Did you ever read the Avatar series, Dungeons and Dragons?
Oh, that was the one with like the
AO.
evil werewolf who was cursed for being born innocent.
No. So the Avatar trilogy was Dungeons and Dragons. Back years ago, they had this thing. Okay, it doesn't matter. If nobody read it, it doesn't matter. But there was the final, spoiler alert, the like very last thing was it was like a gods war, like all the gods were fighting, right? And so when the final gods thing got figured out, the last few pages revealed there was a super ultra mega god who controlled everything, and he was basically like the dungeon master. And
no, I think I have read this because like the really squirrely guy ends up becoming like the Lord of Murder.
Yes, I'll totally send you links to that. You'll love it. It's the fucking coolest thing to hear those audiobooks again. It is the most amazing Dungeons and Dragons story ever. Poorly written, but the sequence of events is really captivating. But I think that's kind of the mist is like the AO is like the dungeon master. It's like I think it really might be the most ultimate creator. But all right, I'll get off my rambly high horse here.
Okay, now that you've just mentioned that, there was another sort of a breaching of the Umbra or the Deep Umbra. It was a movie was from a Stephen King story, The Mist. As long as the mist was there, it removed the barrier between the two existences. Mm-hmm. Basically. Yeah.
Like the Raven.
Yeah, Sabrina, if this thing goes down, it's your fault. Okay, I'm telling you.
The teenage witch over here.
No, she had an issue, and then she hinted at the organization that shall not be hinted about.
Yeah, but I like them so much.
I know. We get through this every single time, and they don't give a shit whether you like them or not. They don't care.
No, I know. I'm
okay,
just gonna whine about it. Right?
Shara, they're fae. Everything you can imagine. Gnomes, trolls, freaking fairies, for God's sakes. Fairies!
Red caps who eat everything.
Yes, yeah, fuck them too.
I always wanted to make a red cap who looks like those one of those critters from the movie Critters.
Yeah.
That's what he looks like.
I was more fond of Fizzgig.
That'd be fun.
Same mechanic, but much cuter. So, yeah, she was...
Just real quick, they were going to remake Critters, right?
Yeah.
Yes, I know. Isn't that great?
Oh, my God.
What is this? The decade of remakes? God, y'all.
Looking for a remake. I wrote them so we have demons in the toilet again.
Because of the numbers. If you can show to your investors when you're trying to get money to fund your film that there's a pre-existing fan base, this is why sequels and reboots are so popular, then it's easier to get the green light. And that's why Marvel was acquired, because it's like, well, dude, there's this huge pre-existing fan base, and we've all been kind of screaming for these movies for years. And then Spider-Man and such was successful, and then there you go. The rest is history. But yeah. That's why that happens. It's all about the numbers.
Gotcha. We've got another question. What all exists in the Deep Umbra? Well, what doesn't, really?
Nobody knows, right?
It's
The
a-
Wyrm.
It's mostly unexplored, isn't it?
So, the Deep Umbra is supposed to be like, I believe at a certain point, the Deep Umbra becomes the Abyss or has always been the Abyss. And so, in the Deep Umbra, you will find it is the absence of light, so it is the absence of awareness, so it's everything that you could find in
Yes.
your subconscious.
Also
And just-
feeds into the Tempest.
Yeah, and so it's just full of like Cthulhu monsters.
Can I explain that one?
All right.
Because it's really kind of cool.
Go for it.
And this is kind of how I think what they did to make it all fit in together. And that was through the Abyss is literally absolute nothing, and it held basically demons in it for millennia. And then there was a crack in it.
Mm-hmm.
And those guys don't like bend reality, they actually like shape creation. You know, so it's like all of a sudden all that stuff just started fitting together. And that's when they started the end of stuff.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Totally.
Because
But
every one of the games has this deep, dark thing in the center of it.
Yes.
That if people go in, they don't come out. It's full of monsters. It's
There
disgusting.
be dragons.
Right, exactly. And it turns out what's being made are those guys coming out of there. Which is why I like Demon a lot. But anyway.
Yeah,
Not
but
as fond of
the Deep Umbra is also the Garrow. They do not go to the Deep Umbra that frequently because of the exactly.
Right,
As
it's the Deep Umbra is a lot like the Shadowlands too. Like for the Silent Striders and stuff.
But the Shadowlands, they belong to the Dark Umbra. So the Silent Striders, they do go there.
Well, that's what
Which
we were
is-
talking about.
Yeah, no, but the Dark Umbra is like the Deep Umbra, at least
Oh,
as
no,
werewolves
I got
understand.
the
The
words
Deep Umbra
backwards.
is like beyond that, right?
Yeah. I got them
Okay.
backwards.
All right.
Well, they all feed into some sort of horrible, nasty.
Yeah, but the Deep Umbra is also a place where mages usually go. Because exactly
And-
because it is
Cue the ether ships.
because as you have it's a place more distant from reality, so the laws of nature and everything they simply do not apply here. So it's common that archmages, they go there and they create their own pocket realms in which they live in their own reality, and they do that in Deep Umbra. So to most creatures, because when we say about these realms and stuff, I guess that's something that worth to be mentioned. Although we have like the mages, they have their avatar, the Fae, they've got their Fae seeming, right? Right, Rachel? Something like this, isn't it?
Yeah, changelings are a
They got
little
their-
interesting. I'm sorry?
They got a Fae soul, something like that.
Yes, they had. When you're playing a changeling, you are probably playing someone with two souls.
Yeah, all right. And werewolves, they are half spirit, half flesh. So each one of these creatures, they are different spirits. Although we are talking about, although we are saying that they have spirits, but they do not have the same spirit, or at least then it's not the same, let's say, class of spirit. And so in the same way that in Umbra, we have like the Jaglings and the Gafflings and the Incarna and the Celestines and things like this as the werewolves. I will always be referring to werewolf vocabulary because, that's what I know. These spirits, they do live in different parts of Umbra. Of course that they can travel, but usually the bigger the spirit, the farther he lives on Umbra. Usually, it's something like this. So these creatures, as they are different spirits, when they step sideways, as werewolves would put, they go to different places. Especially because of this, because they are different kinds of spirits. So when the changeling go to the dreaming, they are in Umbra, but not the same Umbra that werewolves go, or mages, or anything like this. Of course, that they can meet in some place, and they can meet in some realm, or in the penumbra, or something like this. But usually, they deal with different classes of spirits and different realms in different levels of Umbra.
I think it's important. I was trying to get to this right away, but it's such a difficult thing without drawing a picture. The Umbra is shaped like an infinity sign. There's a dark Umbra on one side, and then there's the other Umbra that, I don't know, a light Umbra or whatever on the other side, right?
Yep.
There's two lobes, right? So the dark Umbra is one lobe, and the other Umbra is the high Umbra, whatever, I forget what it's called. Is another lobe, and they're symmetrical. So they each have a penumbra, a middle Umbra, and a deep Umbra. And so there's a deep Umbra in the dark Umbra, whatever, we're saying Umbra a lot, and there's a blah, blah, blah. So that's why I was saying the penumbra that the werewolves step into is different than the penumbra that dead souls go to, which is where Stygia is, which is we call the Shadowlands. I think the Shadowlands is a pocket realm in the dark penumbra. Right?
Yeah.
And I would say that Arcadia is a pocket realm in the deep Umbra, right? And that the near dreaming, the hedge doesn't exist in Changeling the Dreaming. It exists in Changeling the Lost. But I think we can all agree that it should exist in Changeling the Dreaming because it's so fucking cool.
I disagree. I will really die on the hill of the near dreaming exists coterminous with our reality, and you don't have to cross a boundary to get to the near dreaming. You just have to open your eyes.
Oh, I'm not sure how I countered that. I would agree with that. I'm not sure. What I was saying is
because that was badass. I'm starting to actually like Changeling more now.
Yeah, I mean, I totally think that you can get so scared walking down a dark, twisty road in Transylvania that you cross over into the dreaming. I think that's actually what happened. Anyway, I won't get into that. But I think that, what was I going to say? I forget what I was saying. So there you go. Oh, you're falling right.
I would say that the changeling, what happens to the changeling is, as they are two different souls in the same body, which is different from werewolves, which is like only one spirit, and then this spirit composes half of the body, let's say. This face soul, the fairy soul, it's able to see across, to see and interact across a gauntlet or a membrane or something like this, or hedge. I don't know the name you want to give to this, but mists. All right. So to me, the changelings, they're able to see. Okay, so lots of quotation marks here. They're able to see the spiritual world without having to step sideways. So that would be the near dreaming to me, because they see the leak of, because as they interact with different spirits, as I was saying, these spirits, they're able to leak through the mist then, and they're able to interact. So They don't need to step aside to go to the near dreaming. Near dreaming is here. In a way, in a werewolf lexicon, I would say that the changelings, they are able to see through the gauntlet and interact with the spirits there.
Yes.
Does it make any sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I think
So you think the ferryman can cross the Umbra? I mean, come on. I mean, just thinking.
Why wouldn't they?
Yeah, that's...
Cross the Umbra? Yeah,
being able to travel in the Umbra.
Oh, yeah. As far as I know,
because not
werewolves...
can pull that off.
As far as I know, changeling, werewolves, and mage, changing breeds in a way, they can travel through Umbra, if not naturally, as werewolves usually do, with a couple of powers.
Right? Werewolves have moon bridges, and the changeling have the valor paths. I mean, I think they all kind of have their own little sneaky way.
And of course the underworld would have the ferryman.
The ferryman, can travel whatever it's called. I'm forgetting right now. Come on, Ian.
The Tempest.
Tempest, thank you.
It's the only thing in the underworld that can, really.
Yeah. The underworld is the Tempest, almost.
Well, Charon tried. It just didn't last as long as he would hope it would. It just didn't turn out that way. I think I'm wondering if they're going to have the Ebony Kingdom or the Jade Kingdom taking up the fight against the Spectres.
Well, I've always thought that in the Shadowlands, you can have the same sort of political infighting and political wars, ground wars that we have on Earth, right? So Stygia can go to war with the Jade Kingdoms and such and such. I mean, not just getting raided by specters, but different orders could go to war or whatever.
Okay, you mean the what do you call legions?
Yeah.
Some fun shit. I love Wraith. Never got a chance to play it, but I think it's one of those that actually convinced me that you could run more than one critter in the same chronicle.
Without a doubt. I mean, the Giovanni, like Rachel was saying, have Wraiths baked into their entire, meta plot. So,
did you read the Giovanni book yet?
Me?
Yeah.
Have I read it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
How messed up was Madeline? I said she had started humping her grandmother's femur just to get her Wraith to show up. I know, it's messed up, man.
I tell you what, man, the short stories in the clan book and throughout the entire line are probably some of the best fiction. I don't mean just in general. I mean that's some really incredible horror short story writing. It's really good. Better than the novel.
Of course. There's a lot of folks we found that since we've been doing this show coming up on 3 years now, that Wraith is the game that everybody loves but nobody plays.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. So, isn't it funny how they can release a line that, no knocking on Richard Dansky or any of these people, because I love the books, I love the art, I'm buying all of them. I have all the most expensive Wraith books, but I've never played Wraith. And if I don't ever get to play them, it doesn't really matter, because the books that I bought, I use for my NPCs, and that makes my game richer.
Absolutely.
And that's what really the message that if anyone ever heard my ramblings, I'd want them to understand. You can release source books for NPCs.
Using a lot of the different stuff for story purposes.
Exactly.
I don't really care about how the powers work.
Well, I don't know about that. I think that some of their powers are pretty insanely powerful, but I think, as Victor pointed out in the episode on Wraith, that the more you use these powers, the more angst you get, and you basically just get eaten by your shadow and go to the oblivion. So you have to be very careful about using your powers when you're a ghost.
I've played Wraith.
Yeah, it's because you're awesome. So we're just dorks. So.
A couple years ago, I actually got to play a whole weekend-long game of Wraith over Halloween weekend, and we played at the Queen Mary.
Word.
Oh, wow. Are you in Long Beach?
I'm in LA, so it wasn't that far.
I grew up, I was in Long Beach and Torrance that's where I grew up.
Oh, neat. I'm in West LA right now.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, but
anyway, go on.
Oh, and I've also played Orpheus, which is a game that deserves a lot more attention than it gets.
We did a show on it not long ago.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
That was the consensus, is that was a cool game.
Yeah, it was September 25th. We did the Orpheus show. It was Ken and Alan.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'll have to look that up, but yeah, it's fun.
And so, I'm sure this is answered in your show, but I've heard that Wraith can be continuous with Orpheus. At some point, you can just put your Wraith book down and pick up Orpheus.
Yeah.
Is that true?
That seemed to be the consensus.
Dope. That is dope.
No.
No, I said that's dope. That's fucking dope.
Okay. Oh.
That's awesome.
Yes, it seems to be, you know, Scion's kind of like Wraith Light.
Hmm.
Or
Well,
not
this is
Scion,
really
Orpheus, my bad.
Really off topic, but I'll ask questions later. But have you played Prometheus, Rachel, or are you? What's the deal with Prometheus? Anyone?
Prometheus?
Yeah,
Is this that in
Prometheus the
Frankenstein
Created.
book.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Sorry.
The
'Cause
Golem.
that's the New World.
Oh, it's
of Darkness game,
Promethean.
right?
Yeah, Promethean.
Yeah.
Promethean the Created.
The
Yeah.
Created, yeah.
I've never played it, but it looks really cool.
How to
Word,
make a
word.
golem in 3 easy lessons.
I was kind of amazed that they didn't have that as a thing in the World of Darkness, and you know, it's so obvious, like Frankenstein. Hello. So I'm kind of waiting for the sort of classic World of Darkness line to somehow get something like that. You know, I think it's necessary.
Yeah, agreed. Never understood why they didn't have Frankenstein in the old World of Darkness.
It should be a necromancy ritual. It's as simple
That's
as that.
what I would have expected. Sort of.
I wrote it in the
Technically,
Keystone book.
unless you've got a whole bunch of steampunk shit, then apparently you can also do it. I'm just saying.
Wait, is this where I get to bitch about spaceships in the Umbra?
Yes.
Please?
And
Please?
Frankenstein's
Are you
flying
with
them.
that dumbass shit? Oh my god. Ah!
Well, I mean, if we really wanted to talk about that, which I actually don't, but I would say in this short bit that it would happen in the Weaver realms. Right?
Okay.
I think that's
Why would it? Just
Why wouldn't
just
it?
yeah, well, okay, why wouldn't it? But that's not an answer now, is it?
no, yeah, no. The answer is that in theory, that flying machines are something that we can create. It's not like a technology that wouldn't exist. And with some sort of fantastic sort of cyberpunk kind of sci-fi twist, you can see how that. I think you can see how
There
that
was
could
another
exist.
suggestion that popped up early.
But don't you think that maybe spaceships on Umbra, as mentioned, couldn't it be like the Void Engineers paradigm for them to travel into Umbra? So
Sons
they
of
would
Ether.
create a spaceship and they
Even-
would go to deep Umbra, for example.
Even
Sons
better.
of Ether.
Yes,
So in
that's
this
what
case,
they do.
So in this case, they are not in the realm of Weaver.
Right.
Maybe they're using a Weaver paradigm, so like dogma, science, and technology,
Sure,
and everything, in order to travel. So they're not in a realm of Weaver.
Yeah, the Deep Umbra is even better. It's even weirder than the Weaver realms.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about alien abductions and the things that occur.
Oh, let's not go there.
Okay.
So, well, let's go there. So, okay, let's get back
Wait a
to
minute, hold
I'll
on,
use that
hold on,
to bring us
hold
back to
on, hold on.
cosmology. I swear to
Time
God.
out. Time out. One more thing I think I ought to point out. A couple of times during the early days of the old World of Darkness group, they would ask some of the most random questions, and wasn't one of them the answer, yes, werewolves can go to the moon if they've got a fetish.
Yeah, that's Rage Across the
vaccine.
Heavens. Yeah,
I
there's
would
a-
say that they don't even need a fetish. They can like go to on a moon bridge or something like this, and they can reach the realm of the
Luna.
Of moon, Luna. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, they incarnate of Luna, right? Not
Exactly.
the Luna itself.
Yeah, I think they do
Hold
that
up,
in Rage
time
Across
out,
the
time
Heavens.
out. We lost our
Yeah,
stream.
exactly.
We lost the stream.
Ah, bummer. It's too exciting.
See, this is what happens when you even hint.
I'm
I'm dead
like
serious.
I'm tightening my black lapels right now, adjusting my black sunglasses.
It says it's still streaming, but I'm losing frames. It's dropping frames right and left.
Dropping frames like flies out here.
Hold on, it's trying. There it goes. We're back.
All right. So you're saying aliens, and I think that aliens is something that's actually not really addressed in the World of Darkness, thank God. But it kind of could be. I mean, as I was saying earlier when we were talking about cosmology, that the entire World of Darkness happens on the stage of Gaia. And I believe that that's sort of kind of the thing about the cosmology, is that it all sort of, it's geocentric. You know, the World of Darkness is the center of the universe. And, but why can't there be another one? maybe there's like a not like Mars or anything, maybe, but like fucking Alpha Centauri kind of thing. There's this whole sort of space, other planet Spelljammer kind of thing going on, and I don't believe that, and I'm really out on a limb here. But I think if someone were to talk about aliens in the world of darkness, that's really how it would go. They would have their own, Luna Helios situation going on their planet.
I mean, technically, aliens have shown up.
Oh God! Break it off.
In 30 Secrets of the Black Hand.
Oh,
right.
Wait a minute.
Hold the
Institute itself is but we've all told ourselves and brainwashed ourselves that book never happened. So deep regression therapy.
I still have a copy of it on my shelf.
I have a copy too. I heard a rumor that it was originally intended to be about the Incarno.
I never heard that. Oh, right on.
We may have lost our stream again, but it's showing on this end that we're broadcasting. Okay, now we're back to yellow again. Hopefully it's going to hold up. See, this is why you don't even hint about that place, okay?
Fair, my bad.
We just
But
Shara's getting mad at everybody because we won't tell her what it is. And I'm like, to do that, we would have to tell you what it is.
But about the aliens, Mage the Ascension, they will understand aliens as the Umbroids. So they are exactly this. They are spirits. If we put everything in a mix, trying to understand all the scenarios, all the games in like one whole cosmology, these Umbroids would be spirits which they materialized in our worlds which would come from the deep Umbra. So in a way, it makes sense that they exist. Not the idea that there are civilizations which come. I don't know exactly what's written on the Dirty Secrets of the Black Hand. I never read the book. But they are simply this. They are inhabitants of the deep Umbra which come here.
Nice. Yeah, I don't like the idea of aliens like actually extraterrestrials.
Yeah.
So
neither do I.
Yeah.
Neither do I. But I think that you can understand that.
Yeah. That there's some sort of umbral being that comes here, and the tall grays or whatever are just from the Umbra. I don't know. I watched too many X-Files, but I would say even if ever I landed myself in a situation where I really was like, all right, guys, tall grays, flying saucers, I would still argue that they travel through the Umbra in order to, sort of fold space like the spice traders from Dune.
All right.
But they're still extraterrestrials. I don't know. I'm spitballing here.
Okay.
So, cosmology.
Have you guys ever looked at Monty Cook's World of Darkness?
Never.
When it first came out, but I can't remember much about it.
That is a surprisingly very cool game. And it doesn't really have a cosmology, but it has everything that the World of Darkness has. But basically, it's like in the middle of the United States, a hole in reality opens up, and all this dark stuff bubbles up, and that's where your characters are. So...
Oh, that's cool. It's like a Shadowrun World of Darkness type of fusion.
A little bit, yeah. It's really interesting the way they set it all up, and the different banes. Everybody's got a good thing and a really bad thing that they do. So, I mean, it's really cool.
So, you guys remember the movie Monster Squad?
Yes.
You remember how it ended?
Wolfman's got nards.
Oh God, I forgot that. Just thanks him before he dies. That was so weird. I loved that as a kid. I was like, oh my God, that's so weird.
Oh, I know.
I felt bad for the bad guy for the first time.
Myself.
But yeah, they opened like a black hole and sucked all the monsters into it. And I'm kind of wondering now. I'm like, could that have been an actual inspiration to World of Darkness? I mean, I'm sure that movie predated the first edition.
Oh, way predated.
Yeah.
When did it
that
come
movie's
out?
fucking days old. 80, or I'd have to look. On our last show, our last show, Jesus Christ, listen to me. Peter mentioned Robo-Jocks. Oh my God.
Robo-Jocks, yeah.
Dude, that was like, oh man, 20 years.
Scary German guy's back.
So badass, yeah. So now I'm like pulling out another random film here. But when did Monster Squad come out? 1987. Oh, it was actually late 80s. All right, well, there you go.
Yep. I was in, I believe it was junior high school.
Yeah, so I guess I saw it pretty much right as it came. I saw it in 89, so I guess I saw it when it was pretty much right when it came out.
So,
that would have been high school. Right. That was my junior year of high school. Sorry.
What? I heard somebody knock. I just assumed it was...
Yeah, they're coming for you. Go, go, go. Red team, go.
Please, I
The
wish they
eagle has
would.
landed. Run, run, run. They know I have the plans.
Go now.
I won't give up. I won't give us up.
Anyway, scary German guy. That was my reference. I knew I forgot.
Scary German guy.
Yeah.
There's a guy, an actor. He goes by the name Dieter Laser. He plays the bad guy in both of the Human Centipede movies. But he also, my introduction to him was in a Canadian show called Lex, and he played a scary German guy. He seems to be really good at it because he's, well, scary in German. Anybody with the name Dieter, you can pretty much bet he's German.
That's quite a name, man. I read a lot of newspaper articles, as they come through or whatever, and I always have this thing now where I look at the names, and whenever I come across a good one, I fucking store it in my little names file. I have got some good ones, dude. Oh man, like these are real people's names. So I read them sometimes, and I'm like, is this some hippie shit? Like, what the fuck is this? But no, that's a real name.
So I got a question, if anybody can answer it, because I've been looking for it since we started the show. There are a number of dark kingdoms throughout, especially now that
the Shadowlands
is in ruins. Do each of these kingdoms have get the labyrinth below Stygia and access to the lowest level of the deep Umbra or bottom of the Tempest, whatever?
Out of my realm with that one, but I would suspect that the Shadowlands is in a way similar to the near dreaming, that it is really about belief. Like, I believe I'm going to do this. I believe I'm going to finish my novel. I believe I'm going to avenge my wife's murder, and that keeps the angst that gives the spirit so much angst that it has to stay around. And so I think that in a way, Stygia is sort of part of the architecture of spirits. They go to a realm that allows them the platform to do their thing, to fulfill their destiny or whatever. And so if you...
Unless you get soul forged into a torch.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, so when somebody who's from Central African Republic dies and has some major revenge issues, why would they go to Stygia?
Yeah, they would.
Doesn't even make sense. Exactly.
Kingdom of Ebony.
So they would probably go. They would go to the Dark Kingdom of Ebony. Wherever they go, their Dark Kingdom, one would think, structurally, it's similar to Stygia.
Okay, so then yeah.
Like, why would Stygia be special?
Because it was.
Because it's so fucking
city.
Cool.
It was the second city that happened. You know which one the first one was the vampire's first city.
Yeah, Enoch.
Enoch, yeah. It hung out in some weird pocket of the Shadowlands since it fell, or didn't technically fall. We're not quite sure what happened to Enoch. It just was there one day and it was gone the next.
And it's gone.
Yeah. That's all we know about Enoch, and now that it's back, apparently.
You invested in Enoch Bank, and it's gone.
Yeah. That's supposedly also the the place, the seat of the basalt throne, Cain's throne. But he was never part of the first city. He would never been there, at least not that they know of.
Let me back up for a sec. You mentioned Cain, and
Okay.
Here we are talking about Cosmos and Cain, and I forget there was one more thing I wanted to talk about. We've covered most of the ground of stuff that I want to talk about.
Okay.
Let's talk about Jehovah, the God of the desert. Who is he or she or it in the world of darkness? Like, they've talked about Lucifer. I mean, he's practically, a character.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's practically a story character. Who is Jehovah?
Well,
Who is Yahweh?
Some people would say it's a god machine.
But isn't that the Chronicles of Darkness? Does that even happen in the classic?
Yeah, God Machine is Chronicles.
Okay, but still, we don't have celestials in the world of darkness. We only have infernals and infernalists. Come on.
So yeah, I don't. What I think the subtext of what you're saying there is he's never been mentioned. No one's ever talked about Yahweh. This is a sort of an unknown feature of like, okay, we have the devil.
Yeah, but other than the
I-
curse, that's the only time he's mentioned.
Right, there's angels, right? But okay. Rachel, you were saying something.
I'm sorry.
Sorry. I think at a certain point we do have to step back and get a little meta and realize that if the writers of any of the World of Darkness books, if they included Yahweh, who is the Abrahamic God, they would have pissed off a lot of people because they would have gotten it wrong no matter what.
About like rape and child abuse, and you think God was going to push people over?
Apparently, some people tend to get a little miffed if you start
No.
turning their Bronze Age fairy tales into a game.
Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. It's a good point. I don't know. And you know what? Actually, Cappadocius was going to diablerize God. I think that's the only time they've ever mentioned that he even exists.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there.
The Nodus lore that the reason he's
right. In
vampire.
the Book of Nod. He's in the Book of Nod.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And then
and that's it.
There is one god who shows up in the lore who was real world worshipped as a god of the desert.
Well, Set.
Yes. So that's a fun thing to contemplate, I think.
I don't know what it is about fantasy worlds having to include, like, it's like even Forgotten Realms and Dungeons and Dragons, like, oh, yep, here's the Egyptian gods. We're just going to put them on this island over here. Like, can you just not? I don't know.
Well, back in the day, we had the first edition of Deities and Demigods.
Right.
Had all the really cool pantheons in it, like the Cthulhu mythos and Elric. And
those books are worth so much money. They're only
you have no idea.
And the second, I do. They're like $5 each. And the second printing, they had to take the Cthulhu mythology out of there.
And the Erewhon stuff too, because they both it was both of the states were said, nope, you don't get to make money off of our dead person.
So there you go. So God does exist in the world of darkness, but we don't know much about him. All we know is that somehow he might be accessible through the
If you
shadow.
want to know about it, read Demon.
Yeah.
Whoa. Did you just say access him through the Shadowlands?
Yeah, that was Cappadocius' whole plan.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yep.
Just no?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I actually was going to play a Demon Chronicle and play in one. And so I have almost all the books, but I haven't like read them cover to cover yet because I bought them all like just last month. So which one explains that? Which one should I? I'm very
The
interested.
very first one.
Yeah,
the
core book.
For the guys in the channel that weren't here for the first part of the show, the Anarch and Camarilla books are out, so and PDF.
Yeah.
And you might want to go check them out, especially if you like you some ministry there, New Wave. So yeah, you might want to go look something up. It's I haven't got to read much, but what I have read, it's awesome. Both of the one book I got to skim through before.
When
the
does the
show.
hardcovers come out? December or something?
Well, they just got sent to the printers, which is they weren't going to do that. They were going to release the PDF after they sent it to the printers, and then that's got to come back, and then they'll mail out the pre-orders first.
So next year I'll get my copies.
Sometime around then.
Yeah. Well, no, they're going to. Everything else is still going to come out in December, but that's I think the schedule, at least from what I can figure out.
Have we got a date on the Sabbat 5th edition Sabbat book yet?
Not yet.
I think,
Yes, Catherine. They came out today as PDFs at Drive Through RPG.
Awesome.
Another completely random comment. So that I think is cool. So there was a poll taken on one of the big Facebook groups for Vampire, and it was like, what would you really like to see in 5th edition? And I forget what the first one was, like a book on how to create your own city or something like that. And the second one was fucking novels. I was like,
really?
Yeah, it beat out like all these other really cool things, like more clan books and whatever. And I was like, wow, that is, I had no idea that people wanted them that much. I'm super excited for that. I think that caught people's attention, that maybe there'll be more novels soon too.
Yeah.
I'm working on it.
You go, girl.
I am as well. Rachel is my editor for the Gifted Clan book, and I did a little short story in the beginning with a female character called Angulka that I've become quite enraptured with, but I haven't quite, found the time to even outline her story yet. But I think more fiction is what Vampire really needs to get crazy. Like, it'll really push the meta plot. We need more novels.
Yeah, indeed.
So, given that there is a lack of Celestials, do you think that might pop up at some point?
I think there should be a cosmology book, World of Darkness Cosmology, and I think that they should address it at that point.
Well, then I think you need to send off a stern email.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think that's gonna happen.
No, it would be out of the ordinary for them to do something that specific.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And you would have to sacrament a couple of things as truths. And White Wolves they're not into that. They always like to put everything through a shade of gray.
Right. I think the only way we would ever get anything even resembling a cosmology book, it would as a prop. It would be like those who shall not be mentioned might have a printout that gets found or whatever, and then that gets turns into like a Mage the Ascension prop or something like that. Like like the Book of Nod is actually a prop. It's not really fiction. It's not really. It sort of blends. What is this? Is this a game supplement or is this a novel? Like, what the fuck is this?
It does have some interesting stuff in it. I mean, there's some. I mean, it was our first look into the actual story between him and Lilith.
Yeah, I mean, it's canonical for all intents and purposes. All those little 6x9s, hardbacks that they put out are canonical. But what are they really? Like, how do we talk about them? Are they short stories, novels? What are they? Anyway, I like to call them.
I have a stack of them right here.
I know. I've also got my copy of the Reese's Fragments. I still don't have my Book of Lilith yet.
I do. And I have the Testament of Longinus.
Ah, that one.
So I gotta say, I find the cosmology stuff so interesting. I think we've kind of covered it all. Is there anything we haven't talked about? Cosmology in World of Darkness isn't like even.
We're still talking about cosmology, even now. We're still discussing it, even though it's thinking about the future and basically the whole story of Cain and Lilith is part of the cosmology.
No, I just meant like we've talked about, I think, all the realms. Right? We've talked about the penumbra, the middle umbra, the deep umbra. We've talked about the fact that the umbra itself is it's bisymmetrical. There's a dark umbra and then there's like a whatever high umbra. We've talked about how there are different ways that you can access the different levels through paths. Like the Dark Valor path is a way that the deep dreaming connects to the Shadowlands. And yada yada yada. Right? Is there anything? We've talked about the different hierarchy of beings. There's the Celestines, and then below them there's the Incarna, and then below them there's the different veins, and then below them there's the Gatlings, and then we've covered everything. You even talked about God, man.
And yes,
And the
Catherine.
changelings are off in their corner being weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, the mists. We even talked about the mists. The
By the
Triad.
way, yes, Catherine, there is a book of Lilith.
So who is Lilith? We might as well just go there because why not?
Well,
So do
yeah,
you think-
again, part of the cosmology.
I wouldn't know.
It's,
Well, it's not really
Lilith.
cosmology, it's metaphor.
Lilith is the
She was-
biblical Lilith.
She was
Well,
the first
do you think
mage.
she's a mage? Yeah. So you think she's a hedge mage, or you think she's some
She
sort
was
of
the first
spirit?
mage.
I think she's true fae.
True fae.
hmm
Really?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
there's a lot of different theories about who she is. It's not a straightforward question.
I think it's like one of those she just is things.
Hmm.
If that makes any sense.
And she
Oh,
apparently helped Cain create the first discipline.
That's right.
I mean, and that's sort of why I think she's true fae. Because, like, yeah, she just is.
Yep. I
At
see
some
her.
point, she just started happening. And that is sort of the story of the true fae.
Yep.
Exactly.
I would say that the most convincing argument is what Rachel said, but I don't think anyone knows what she is. I think it's totally another obscure point of World of Darkness mythology.
It is.
Okay, let's go sideways on this. Seth
Yeah.
is.
He was the third human.
Yeah.
And he was. What about him?
Well, apparently we're all descended from him, but that's not it. That's not the big twist at the end of the story. He was the first ghoul.
Oh, interesting. First ghoul. I'm sure I've heard that before because it sounds familiar. But
Yeah, he was. It was. And Cain only had to ghoul him once, and he became both Seth and his two children are also immortal. But they don't have that pesky needing to drink blood shit, or the not wanting to get hit with a UV weapon.
I think that this kind of stuff, for example, I would say that Lilith, she simply is Lilith, or that Seth simply is Seth, because when you try to analyze this, you have to consider to whom Seth and Lilith are important too. Only to vampires, you know.
Well, not only is Lilith, at least as far as the Christian mythos is concerned, not only is she the one mentioned in our version of cosmology, but if you go back to the Apocrypha in the Catholic canon, says that she was actually Adam's first wife. The one that wouldn't listen, apparently.
Yeah. Okay, but then, for example, if you think about werewolves or changeling, for example, Rachel was, at least as far as I know, because Rachel was mentioning that, in her opinion, Lilith is a true fae. But does Lilith really play any kind of important role to the fae? So as far as I know, she doesn't. So it doesn't actually matter for the fae if she's a fae or not. Therefore, she may be something vampirical or whatever, because that it's only connected, only related to vampire.
Well, I don't find that convincing, but I'll go with that, Rachel.
No, she's the mother of monsters.
Yes,
I have
but she
another.
was never turned.
Well, and that is taken right out of Beowulf too. I mean, that's not even.
Yeah.
That's just a cool thing to call her. It's not like they
I
actually.
have another heretical opinion.
Go
on
for it.
Lilith.
Gasp.
I love them.
I think that Lilith's fae aspect is she's the triple goddess, the maiden, mother, crone. And so she appears as the mother, as Lilith. And then she also appears in the Book of Nod as the crone, the one who teaches Cain about the blood bond. And then she also appears in Gehenna as the last daughter of Eve.
I like this.
Yes, I'm feeling it. And I can't. It's been so long since I picked up the Gehenna book.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I plan to revise Gehenna for Doridello's Vault.
Good for you.
in which Lilith plays a little more of a prominent role. I think the cool thing about her is that we don't know much about her, so we can project whatever we want. So, I'm like, I think she's true Fae, but, some other people here are like, oh, she's a mage. I'm not going to disagree with you. It's just in my little head canon, she's true Fae.
Yeah, I think
that makes sense. It really does.
Yeah, I think it makes as much sense as anything, and her being a mage, kind of like mages have orders, and like I don't know, the whole thing seems odd. She'd have to probably be an independent, like maybe like a hedge mage or something. Seems more powerful for a hedge mage. She just the only one that she seems to the only category to me that she seems to fit into is firstborn, and I would say she's a masculine. She's probably winter or autumn court firstborn.
Okay, I actually know what that means. Yes, I'm learning shit too, by the way. I always do. Matter of fact, listening to Victor go on about Changeling has taught me quite a bit. Mostly, I don't ever want to play Changeling. No offense, I just don't want to play it. It's just too damn depressing. I just eat a bunch of damn pills and never wake up.
I don't know. The way that Victor described the changeling powers as being so powerful that they overpower all the other lines or whatever. Like an introductory changeling character is more powerful than an introductory whatever character. I think that's what he was getting at least. I haven't seen that play out.
Got another one from Storm. Could Lilith have been marked like Cain was marked, but differently? No. Because apparently as soon as Cain did his little murder shtick, God just threw his hands up and I took his ball and went home. Nobody's heard from him since.
Hold on. I'm playing through Revelations of the Dark Mother.
Yes.
So, yeah, I think we've pretty much covered all the things. I mean, I've said this already, pretty much covered all the things. But one of the other more interesting things about cosmology that I think will run pretty quickly, I always kind of, as a young player, thought hell existed in the world of darkness. It basically doesn't. I don't think heaven...
You keep fading out, like the last word in the sentences.
Oh, bummer. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of background noise, so maybe it's that. But I've got a headset on, and I'm sitting in the same spot, so I'm not sure what I can do to improve my connection. But let me know if I start fading out. What I was saying is that as a young player, I always thought that hell and heaven existed in the World of Darkness. But the more you read, it really seems like they don't. Like when you die, you just go to oblivion, unless you have a bunch of angst, and then you go populate the Shadowlands as a Wraith. So you never really go to hell, you never really go to heaven. There are these sort of analogous regions, like
waiting rooms.
What's that?
Waiting rooms.
Yeah, I mean the Shadowlands is definitely a waiting room.
Yeah, it is.
But there doesn't seem to be a final destination that resembles the biblical final destination. Doesn't seem to be an analogous. It doesn't seem to be a heaven and hell. There are sort of analogous places you can go, like the places in Arcadia seem pretty nice, and they're the Malphas, right?
Wow.
So nasty places and really nice places, but I don't think there's a Lucifer ruling over a pit of fire or the kingdom in heaven or anything like that.
Yeah,
right?
when you read Demon Fallen, I guess it gets it clearer. Because you do understand that, for example, God has abandoned his creation, as the demons see. So, if there is no God, how would it be heaven? Because at least
the punishment was that the Creator, whatever you want that to be, because the universe and creation used to be on many different layers. When he left, he actually touched reality, and everything went static. So that was the creation of the universe, and all that stuff took away. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it
Or you
does.
just went to one big, went from many different layers to just one static layer, and completely abandoned,
Yeah.
which is what made the demons really angry. And Lucifer has just been chilling out, going, "This sucks." So yeah, seriously,
Yeah, yeah. And we have that thing about hell as well, because hell is simply, at least according to Demon the Fallen again, hell is simply nothing, a place where
it
the
is the
fallen angels
abyss.
are locked and
That's the place I
they
was
are
talking
forgotten.
about.
They're locked in the abyss, right?
Yeah, that's the all of
That's what I was
these
just talking
places
about.
meet up in one nasty place. And
Right,
that's
and it's
where
different
that
than
is.
Oblivion. Oblivion and the abyss are different. Oblivion is the nothing from come on, what's that movie that has Behind the Nothing? You know, there's nothing where there's nothing.
Freaking never ending story.
Never-ending story.
Story, yeah. So there, that's
have such big, strong hands.
right. And I
Look
tried
at my
you.
Look at these hands.
It's such a traumatic movie too,
I
especially
know
when
it was.
Artax dies.
Nice. So I feel like the Oblivion and the Abyss are very different. The Abyss is where where the fallen angels live, and where demons are basically. But none of this pit of fire, lake of fire stuff. And also the analogous to that, like we hear about in the Book of Nod, especially, that there are angels who seem pretty benevolent and nice. They're very nice to Cain. They give him 3 chances, all this stuff. They seem to come and go from some celestial place to talk to somebody on high. Let's call him God. We never really hear about, is there a kingdom? Does he sit on the throne? What happened there? Is that part of the Umbra? I don't think that's ever addressed. Anyone?
Okay.
I'm thinking about it. But according to Demon, we have that thing that the angels, they have created everything following God's order, or the creator order, let's say. And then at a moment they made the most perfect creation of them, which was humanity. And then they tried to contact humanity, and humanity couldn't interact with them. And then Lucifer has given them conscience, which is represented by the Bible in the form of an apple.
And bringing the light.
Yeah, exactly. And then you could understand that Cain would relate it somehow to the angels in this way, like before or anything like this. He would understand the creation and etc. So he would interact with angels. But then you have the war of something which I forgot now. I guess the war of wrath.
Yeah, the other thing is that he pops up in other places. Is that
Hang on, we lost our signal again. Anyway, we've also got a question, and it's actually really good. New Wave wants to know: is the abyss from Demon the Fallen the same abyss from the Lasombra get their obtenebriation from?
Yes,
I'll let you know when we go back live, and just
okay,
run that around in your head, on the
I
hamster
already
wheel.
got an answer for it.
All right, so
it's pretty convoluted and weird, but
all right, New Wave. I'm hoping we've got our signal back. New Wave, I got your question answered here. So Eric.
All right, so they're kind of the same, but there's a part of the abyss that is just nobody can get to, and even the Lasombra say they can't get to it. They don't know what is there. It's almost like the Lasombra just kind of like play with the outside of the abyss and kind of scoot it around, and that's kind of how that works, is that there's like an outer layer of that darkness, but then they always talk about the things that come out of the abyss that they don't understand. Those are demons, because the whole place cracked.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yes, it does.
Okay.
So, we're about 20 minutes out. We can decompress. We can pretty much talk about anything. The gallery should, if they have any questions, I suggest you get them in now.
Can we talk about the new books?
We can, if you'd like.
Dude, they're so awesome. Sorry, I'm
Yeah,
just
I
really
think we
jazzed
covered that
about
part
this
already.
edition, man. I'm really jazzed about it. It's really cool.
I know.
But
Looking forward to it myself once I get time.
Like faith also plays a part in it, like weird churches and cults and things in the Camarilla, and the ministry, the new followers. They're really cool. They're a whole different name, but their belief system is completely changed.
You talking about the ministry?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, I haven't gotten to them yet. So, does it mention Hesha at all? If he's
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. He's in the he's part of the Church of Set, which not everybody is anymore.
No, he was the prophet of Typhon. So of
No,
course that's what they're
what I'm
after.
saying
He would go.
is that not everybody knows that, and not everybody shares that belief anymore.
Ah.
So a slick televangelist is also one. Does that make sense?
That sounds really cool.
Yeah, we got us another question from New Wave. She wants to know, so inner abyss is where the demons are, the outer abyss is what powers the tenebriation.
Yes, that is absolutely correct. That's about the best way to put it.
Okay, now New Wave wants to
cool.
talk about the ministry. So
Yes, I would love to talk about the ministry. Oh, they are cool. The other whole thing is that instead of making up a bunch of different powers for things, they're making different forms of the main powers. So part of dominate is a side power of that is dementation, which does something. With the ministry, they turn into they have protean, but the ministry turns into snakes or spiders or something like that. And they have different presence powers, and they can also with protean do the whole shifting their heart around thing. So it's the powers are there, but they're making just the core powers, if that makes sense.
That's cool.
The way the structure works now is that you have 5 dots in something, and for each dot you have 5 powers, and it doesn't ever go above that. So it gives you a lot of you can really play around with the different powers. So if you want to be a Tremere that has Silence of Death and and so on, that's totally cool, and that's how it works now. So Malkavians have Dominate again, but they have Dementation also.
Okay, well that kind of fixes the whole. Everybody's stuck with the same 3 disciplines just because of the clan that you're in.
Well, yeah, exactly, and with the new Assamites, the Banu Hakim, they're really cool too. They're part of the Camarilla now.
Okay, Catherine's got a question for everybody, I guess. How would you recommend someone who is struggling with the cosmology wrap their head around it? Maybe books, recommendations.
In order to understand the cosmology, you really have to draw a picture. There's no real. I mean, there's a good couple pictures in the Umbra books and the Book of Spirits. There's a few of them, but it's just so many layers that it's difficult to describe in words, but it's really easy to see graphically.
There might be something if you type in cosmology WOD at Google, might actually have something.
I mean, my advice is make the cosmology what you want it to be.
Yes.
Because this is ultimately a role-playing game, and so if you want there to be a god or a heaven or a hell or a whole pantheon, it's your game. Do what you enjoy.
Gods
And
are
what will be
cheaper
fun
by
for
the
you?
dozen, just so you know.
Don't listen to any of that. God kills a kitten every time you change a rule in one of these.
Now you're just being vicious. God.
I totally agree with Rachel. And I guess there is another thing. I think that if you're not doing your cross, you're playing one game. I think that you should focus on the cosmology of that game, because the others is just gonna, create a lot of disturbance that they are not really necessary. So focus on the cosmology of the game you're playing and add anything you want, because it's, after all, that's your game.
Because right now I'm taking Requiem stuff in 5th edition and playing around with it. I'm having a blast. I figured out how to use a lot of Requiem and World of Darkness stuff in the 5th edition. It's pretty sweet.
Okay, apparently we have an off-the-wall question. Since we've only had 3 of those tonight, let's make it an even 4. Into the Wilderness wants... I don't know shit about the Power Rangers, so wants to know what splat you would use to create Rita Repulsa.
Oh, vampire, okay? Here's how this works. You have a Malkavian, okay, who goes through life thinking they're that person, but they're actually like in a business suit. And they just walk around, and then out of nowhere, they just start going go-go Power Rangers, and everybody just looks at them funny. There you go.
I think if you actually wanted to play that game, like if you really wanted to do a Power Rangers game, you would just switch to a different platform. It just wouldn't happen in the World of Darkness. You play it in Spelljammer or one of those other ones. Not Spelljammer, but I mean that's a medieval.
There are those of us who love Spelljammer too. By the way,
I haven't. I'm a Spelljammer fan. I'm just saying that I don't think that's. I mean, what would be good for that is a Star Wars D6. It's a great game.
Oh man, that is an awesome game. Oh, I missed that.
I hear good things.
I play it. I actually just concluded one of my games. I have almost all the books. I would love to put a game together if you guys wanted to jam on some Star Wars.
Right now, I'm just trying to keep this shit going and play one game at a time.
Yeah, I'll be honest, man. I'm really hungry for some new games right now. But that being said, I think I'm pretty impressed with the amount of ground we've covered today. I felt like this was an almost unapproachable topic that I had to do research for, and of course I didn't because I didn't have any time. But I think we all somehow I felt like when I described what the Umbra looked like and how it interacts with the Shadowlands, and everyone was going to be like, whoa, 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 whoa. But I think we all pretty much agree that that's kind of how it is,
Yes,
it's
this is
whatever you want
attached
it
to
to
this in this place, and well, that place isn't really a place. It's sort of a place.
Hey, I got my moronic childish questions answered. I'm feeling pretty good.
Yeah, and I think Rachel's point about
I got out my spaceships in the Umbra deal. And how it's not supposed to be played together. All right, I did my job.
Yeah, guys, you keep thinking that. Don't nobody else agree with you.
Exactly, you don't have to.
No, we don't. So, Rachel, I this being your first time with us, hopefully not your last.
See, now
did you have fun?
Now I got ideas for Changeling games. Thanks.
I was on Midnight Express, and we were talking about a Changeling game at Disneyland and how cool that would be.
Wow.
Only if you're going to be in the Magic Kingdom. I mean, going to Tomorrowland isn't going to work.
It's a really cool balance between glamour and childlike wonder, and then the banality of corporate art.
Yeah, well, there's that.
It's like a sober acid trip.
Well, I'm talking about like really dark fairy tales, right? And making that into a game, from Changeling. Just look at that half of things. That makes sense.
Yeah, you could totally do that.
And make it all. What are the older ones called? Is it Gruffs?
Grumps.
Grumps, that's it. Yeah, have everybody be Grumps, basically.
Aha.
And
I
just
think
have
that'd
this,
be a
like,
really fun game.
yeah, it's just like you have a red cap that as a Grump, he's kind of a, maybe he's a serial killer, but and then he looks really scary and nasty and the dreaming and stuff.
I think
Like just weird stuff like that, and just mixing it together.
I think serial killers are verboten at Disney.
No, but then again, like I said, you could have you can have something like the Magic Kingdom, and you have like Disney villains.
That could be fun. Yes, that could be
fun.
fun.
So you have like they're all run by from Hercules, Hades.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hades is like their main villain, So that sort of thing you can do too.
Yeah, and in the Changeling game I'm in right now, we've got a redcap who works at Disneyland, who dares teenagers to stay in the park after hours, and then gets glamour by chasing them around and terrorizing them.
That sounds fun.
Yes, I guess it does.
Yeah.
Like turn it into something weird. Have a chupacabra, man.
Right?
Hey, chupacabra, run! Loch Ness.
Tree fitting.
A troll who thinks he's Bigfoot and just keeps putting the costume on. Sorry.
So, I didn't get an answer. Right, so did you have a good time?
I did. I had a great time.
Thank you.
I'm always happy to nerd out about the World of Darkness.
That's what we do, and I think it's a hell of a lot better than anything else I could be doing tonight. To be honest, I didn't have that much on my agenda for today, but other than the horrible thing I was going to have to wake up to tomorrow morning, but it doesn't look like it's going to be that bad.
Yeah, I mean, it was either this or compulsively refresh 5 different news sites.
Yes, Eric didn't think anybody was going to pay attention tonight. We have 9 watching right now.
Yeah, I know, man. It's like it's a nice break from it,
Yes, which is what I was trying to get across to you, but I didn't want to come across as a dick.
I had to stick up my ass, all right?
I get it. I know. I get it, dude. Trust me. Better than most, I get it. But it's just, I can't stress myself out like that anymore. I just can't.
It was working that show. But anyway, man.
So, anywho, guys, let's get our plugs in before the end of the show. Rachel, if you would be so kind.
Yeah. You can find me on Twitter at StolenFire. That's stolen _ and then fire. I hate Twitter, so I'm not on it all that much, but you can find me there. And if people start tweeting at me, I'll probably respond. I have more reasons to go there.
And so, and there we have. Is there anything else? I mean, you.
I'm on Facebook.
Yeah, pimp out your book.
Yes. You can find me on Storyteller's Vault. I've got a couple stuff up there. They're doing pretty well. I have another book on Amazon. It's not specific World of Darkness, but it's about vampire hunters. So it's in that urban fantasy vein. It's called Reign of Ash. I'm currently working on the sequel.
Oh, awesome.
That sounds really cool.
So Rachel wrote the source book for Portland, Oregon. It's called Rose City by Night. Like she said, it's on the Storyteller's Vault. I highly recommend checking it out.
Did you say Portland? Keeping Portland weird?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Keeping Portland weird? Oh yeah, fuck yeah, dude.
Did you see what they did?
Almost missed that one.
For Halloween, where they had over 100 witches on paddle boards going down the river for Halloween.
I missed that.
Every other Thursday.
Sounds amazing.
It was awesome. It was awesome. A couple of the major agencies picked it up. That's how I found out about it. And
The major agencies.
Well, I wasn't going to
wink.
say Al Jazeera, but okay, yeah, not Al Jazeera. Probably. No, it actually popped up on the BBC.
I was making a reference to those who shall not be mentioned.
Oh, see, can't even.
Never inviting this guy back.
No hints.
No, I don't think so. We're not going to have any of that. No, it's just
No, oddly enough, I think it was New Wave, or may have been somebody else. So after I do get the new rig, is just to say it and see what happens. The new rig gets shipped tomorrow, apparently. So we should be back. Well, we will be here again in 2 weeks. That's going to be for our
300th episode?
No, I stopped numbering them a long time ago and removed them because I just wanted the dates, not the... I want everybody to read, whatever strikes their fancy. I don't want to, get them shoehorned into a start at one and end at whatever. If you want to listen about Mage, then there you go. You got all the Mage all the day long, man. We've got quite a few Mage shows. Very pleased with those. Some of those have turned out better than I expected. Anyway, our next show is on the Sorcerer's Crusade, ladies and gentlemen. Speaking of Mage, which we still don't have any guests for, by the way.
Dude, can we talk about like the Three Musketeers as mages?
Wait a minute. Yes, we
Dude,
can.
they have a swashbuckler's handbook. It's fucking
Buckle Squasher's handbook. What?
Yeah. No, those are the two Sorcerer's Crusade books I actually have. It's kind of funny. I found them at my local bookstore for literally like $5 each. I was like, what?
Nice.
Oh, dude, so much swooping.
So, all right, you're plugged, dude.
All right, so I'm Ian C.H. Hogan. You can find me pretty much anywhere on any platform that you can possibly imagine as Ian the Essayist. I am also the admin of World of Darkness Storytellers Only, a fairly exclusive group on Facebook where we vet every single post to make sure that all the posts and all of the conversations revolve around storytelling in World of Darkness games. No ads, none of that good stuff. So that being said, I'm Ian the Essayist, and thanks for having me.
Always happy to have you here, dude.
Oh, sweetie.
Is Olivia still away? My goodness. Anyway, so let's see.
It is. Yeah.
Eric, you got anything you want to? You could start putting up ads for the game.
I have to go.
Okay, you go. Sorry. I'm potty training and she's running around being all cute.
Anywho, Catherine has a suggestion, and I'm going to throw it at my co-host right now and see what he thinks. She wants us to do the big shows every 2 weeks, and then do small shows every 2 weeks.
We're trying to get off the air.
Come on, sweetie. I really got to finish this. So, guys, I want to thank you guys in the channel for showing up and being here with us through all this craziness. I want to thank the folks in the chat. Your questions mean a lot to us. We want at least to get across to y'all that we're trying to help. We really does. And then so we will be doing the Sorcerer's Crusade show in 2 weeks unless something changes. And we will hopefully we'll have the new rig up for that one. What's really gonna freaking suck is re-downloading all this software again, and then getting all the settings right.
Yeah, well, on that note, I'm gonna get going. But before I say that, I say, "Hail technocracy!" Ha ha ha!
Get it. Bye, Ian. All right, guys. Everybody, wave.
All hail set.
That's what she says. I like it. All right, guys. Have a good night. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Good night.